Welcome to our first edition of our NFL Showdown show here at Fantasy Sports Insight. We are super excited to be offering a ton of NFL content for free on our YouTube channel this season. If you want core plays for Showdown or for any of the classic slates, be sure to get into our Discord channel, and you have access to all the experts and everybody to shoot questions off of and also use those core plays in your builds. So let's dive into it. We have a Thursday night game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. One thing for those of you that have played Showdown a lot last year, you can definitely see some trends. I'm again more of a cash player per usual, but I do think the trend that we have seen quite a bit is that quarterbacks in the captain spot are not something that will, take down a GPP or really differentiate yourself from the pack. Now, saying that, Mahomes is a little bit of an outlier. He is somebody that certainly can take down a GPP in the captain spot, but just know that if his success is also going to be tied to his skill set players that could probably, be enough to win a GPP without him in the captain spot. I also think the biggest thing in GPPs here that you really want to think about when you're playing NFL Showdown is game scripting. So if you think that KC, obviously favored here, just dominates this game, you can easily play a 5-1 and play 5 Kansas City Chiefs and just play 1-1 off for Houston. If you think it's a lot of back and forth, then you might want to get 2 pieces of the Texans. So I think that part of it is really important. Or if there is a team that is favored but is more defensive and also has a good running game, that's a game where you might look to play their running back, their defense, and maybe even their kicker. And then on the other side of the ball, play the passing attack. So this game does kind of throw some of those trends out just because it is expected to be so high scoring. And we know that Kansas City has been scoring last year above, the median by quite a bit for any average of any NFL team. So let's dive in. I'm not going to spend much time on Mahomes, but we know that he will be the most popular play on the entire slate. But I do think, captain spot is going to be a little expensive to use him there, but in cash, I could see it working. The next decision you're going to have to make is whether or not you play Deshaun Watson. Now, I think in general, raw points, you're expecting between 20 and 25 here, probably in a matchup that they're going to get the ball back a ton. Week 19 here obviously was the playoff game, so the circumstances were a lot different, but 36 points, once they got down a ton, they're just going to keep throwing the ball. So I do think that Deshaun Watson is certainly in play, but you will definitely be giving up a secondary piece for Kansas City in order to play Deshaun Watson, where I think there's other cheaper plays for Houston that you can then still expose yourself to the high level skill players for KC. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. As a cash player, I always in this situation lean Travis Kelce. He probably projects for like 2 to 3 more catches. Obviously, we know Tyreek Hill has the big playability and can definitely stretch the field. Probably has more. I wouldn't even say more touchdown upside, but he just has more upside in general if he scores that 40, 50-yard bomb. But in cash, I would lean Kelce over Hill. You can certainly play both of them and pair him up with Mahomes. And even if you, depending on what you're doing at captain, it's even possible to play. You probably can't play all of them. You could play 3 of them without Tyreek Hill or without Kelce. We'll get to Hilaire here next, but obviously correlating Mahomes with Hill and Kelce would be something that would be positive expected value. Now, Edwards-Hilaire has just kind of risen to the top here because of Damian Williams opting out for the season. He was their draft pick. Obviously played at LSU. I think we see some decent volume to him, but I don't think we see, like RB1 volume to him. But saying that, he has definitely the ability to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield, which we know that KC will be throwing the ball a lot. So I do think in cash, I would probably rank them Kelsey, Hilaire, and Hill. But I think they're all three great plays. But I do think the second running back in Darrell Williams or Darrell Williams, I'm not 100% sure how what he goes by. But at 1.8K, probably the best value and might be the most popular punt on the slate. It is looking like he will be the primary backup for Hilaire, which also means in a Kansas City offense that you could see, 20, 30% of the snaps out there, especially in a situation right now where Hilaire is a rookie and there is just a lot more, beginning of the season, I don't see them just leaving Hilaire out there for 70, 80% of the snaps. So I think him at 1.8K really opens up a ton, and he is my favorite value of the slate. And with his value, it takes me a little bit away from kicker and defense. I think Butker I like for the KC kicker, but I don't really see myself playing the defenses in this matchup. Moving down, we have Will Fuller, we have Brandon Cooks, and we have David Johnson kind of in this range. Now, similar to, we're not really sure how KC is going to handle their running back situation completely. I think that's kind of the same thing we're going to see here with Duke Johnson and David Johnson. I think if David Johnson receives 60 to 70% of the touches at 7.6K in this kind of matchup, I think he could smash his value, 4 or 5 catches out of the backfield, 30, 40 yards, maybe 70 yards on the ground and maybe a touchdown. That would be a really nice return on his price tag. But if we see the game script going the way that that they're throwing the ball a lot, maybe we see more Duke Johnson. Obviously, we do know that David Johnson can catch the ball in the backfield, but they did use Duke Johnson a lot in those passing situations last year. Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks. Cooks is considered a game time decision. I just don't love – I don't know. I don't have a strong take between Fuller and Cooks and or who else? Kenny Stills. If he starts, he's maybe 4.6K, a lot cheaper to make things work if you're going to stack KC. But I do think that they just take away from each other, and you wouldn't be playing both of them in the same lineup. But I could see maybe stacking Watson with one of the receivers in this situation. Again, if you think Houston does really well, it's probably going to be through Deshaun Watson for the most part. So as I said, down here we have Sammy Watkins, who's a nice discount to someone like Tyreek Hill. Hardman, we obviously know has huge big play ability. And then Kenny Stills would be potentially – I think if we see Cooks out, I would definitely bump up Stills. And then we also have Randall Cobb here. So, Cobb, Stills, I think if all 4 of them are in, if Cooks is in, that is going to leave somebody out or just they're going to be rotating more often. So, at that case, I think Fuller would be the safest option. But I think then, it makes it harder to be confident in Cooks, and then maybe you drop down to somebody like Cobb or Stills. And that could potentially even be your just one-off of your Houston if you're only playing one from that side. Washington is actually priced higher than Williams, recently signed from the practice squad. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really sure, I don't think he's even might not even be active for the game. So, excuse me, they actually released him. Oh, never mind. Well, he agreed. Sorry, they released him before. He's back on the team. All right, so let's move down. We have Butker, which I love. I think he definitely scores 10 plus points, which at 3.8K is an insane value. Otherwise, we have Robinson, who could be a flyer here as well. Kuti, depending again, maybe if we see Cooks out, he's in play. But again, I think if you start your core with Mahomes, Kelsey, and then deciding Hilaire or Hill, and then for the Texans, and this is definitely primarily cash. Watson is definitely a play for cash as well, but you then probably need to go, even if you did something like this with Mahomes at the captain spot, and then you plug in Williams and maybe even Butker, then you're left with maybe like Randall Cobb as your last man in, pairing with Watson. If you get rid of Watson and then you use Hilaire, it's going to give you an option to get up to someone like Brandon Cooks. So those are some potential builds. And then obviously, if you move off of Mahomes and captain, then you might even have a chance to get all the way back up to Tyreek Hill if you're willing to pay down a little bit more at the captain spot. So hopefully this helps you kind of start your builds and see where it's at. Tomorrow is a unique situation with two high-scoring offenses, and KC just being an outlier when it comes to anything fantasy related. They just go above and beyond, which is phenomenal for DFS. But what I would say is look out for that second half showdown. If Houston is down a ton, not that KC ever stopped scoring, but that would give you more confidence in plugging in somebody like Watson and then maybe Fuller, depending on how we see the snaps going. If we're seeing like Fuller's on the field all the time, maybe Cooks is splitting with Stills or Cobb, depending on who's on the outside. I think that the second half showdowns just can be easily game scripted and are really profitable if you pay close attention to the game. All right, make sure you subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for all of our free NFL content here at Fantasy Sports Insight. I will be back for another showdown preview for the Monday night game, and I will have my core plays posted in our Discord channel. So if you want to be part of that Discord channel, go to fantasysportsfsidfs.com and sign up for that VIP subscription that gets you access to everything we offer in our premium chat rooms at Fantasy Sports Insight. All right, this is Hold the Door, and I am signing off.